The weight of spores. I arrived at the old family house just as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the cracked pavement of the driveway. The air felt heavy thick with anticipation and a hint of something I couldn't quite place. As I stepped out of my car, I could see the familiar outline of the house, but it felt like a relic of the past, a mausoleum of memories I was both eager and terrified to revisit. Years ago, I had left this place, driven out by the scornful laughter of my own family. They had mocked me for my obsession with fungal contamination, branding my research as delusional. "You'll lose your mind, you know," my mother had warned, her voice dripping with disdain, as she dismissed my warnings about the black rot I found in the ventilation systems. "You'll become an embarrassment to this family." I was just a paranoid child, they said, a nuisance in their otherwise perfect lives. But I wasn't crazy. I had been right. I had spent years delving into the dark world of parasitic environmental pathology, uncovering horrors that lay dormant in the shadows of our society. Now, I was known as an expert in my field, sought after for my insights into the invisible threats that lurked in our homes and workplaces. I had survived the ridicule, the isolation, and the haunting truths that others dared not face. I had become a warning, a figure cloaked in the very darkness I had once been accused of fabricating. As I approached the door, memories flooded my mind. The laughter of my siblings, the dismissive waves of my father's hand as he turned away from my frantic explanations. I could almost hear their voices echoing in the corners of my mind, taunting me, reminding me of that fateful day when I was unceremoniously ousted from my position as building maintenance supervisor. "It's just mold, you fool!" They had yelled, as though the very concept of environmental pathology was a joke. But I was no fool. I had spent years unraveling the secrets of the spores, and now those secrets were coming home with me. I pushed the door open, the creak of the hinges sounding like a warning. The house was just as I remembered. Stale air, dusty corners, and an unsettling silence that clung to the walls. My family was gathered in the living room, their faces a mix of surprise and disbelief. They hadn't expected me to return, let alone as the person I had become. "Look who decided to show up," my brother sneered, though there was a tremor in his voice. "The mold expert. What do you want, a medal?" I met their eyes, searching for some flicker of recognition, but all I found was the same derision that had driven me away. "I've come to warn you," I said, my voice steady, despite the weight of their judgment. "The black rot is spreading. It's not just in buildings anymore. It's in the air. It's everywhere." My mother's eyes narrowed, and I could see her trying to suppress a shudder. "You're still on this kick? After all these years? You need help." I took a deep breath and stepped closer to them, the shadows shifting as I moved. "You don't understand. I've seen what it does. It changes people. It twists their minds, and it spreads like wildfire. We're all breathing it in right now." Their laughter faded, replaced by a palpable tension. I could feel the air thickening around us, the spores I had studied so intensely creeping into the very fabric of our reality. I knew they wouldn't believe me until they experienced it for themselves. "Remember the basement?" I asked, my voice low. "The one you said was just a storage space?" My father shifted uncomfortably. "What are you talking about?" "It's not just clutter down there. It's a breeding ground. It's worse than you think." I gestured toward the basement door, and for a moment they hesitated, the weight of my words hanging in the air like a foreboding storm cloud. "Let's go," I urged, and with a reluctant nod, we descended into the darkness. The basement was just as I had left it, dimly lit, cluttered, and suffocatingly still. But now, as I shone my flashlight around, I could see the signs I had warned them about. patches of black mold creeping up the walls, the faint shimmer of spores dancing in the beam of light. "This is just the beginning," I whispered, my heart racing. "It's alive. It's waiting." Suddenly, a low rumble echoed through the room, and I felt a tremor beneath my feet. My family froze, eyes wide as the walls seemed to breathe, the shadows twisting and writhing. A thick, dark mist began to seep from the cracks, swirling around us like a living entity. "Get out!" my mother screamed, but it was too late. The spores were everywhere, infiltrating our lungs, wrapping around our minds. I stood rooted to the spot, watching as my family's expressions morphed from disbelief to terror. They were finally witnessing the price of their mockery. The realization hit them like a wave, and I could feel the weight of their regret pressing down on me. "Please," my brother gasped, clawing at the air as the darkness enveloped him. "We didn't believe you. We're sorry." But there was no escape from the truth. They had laughed at the warnings, and now the rot was consuming them, twisting their minds into something grotesque. I turned away, unable to watch as the shadows claimed them, their screams echoing in the suffocating darkness. As I emerged from the basement, gasping for air, I knew I had survived. I was no longer the delusional child they had scorned. I was a vessel of knowledge, a keeper of truths that the world was too afraid to acknowledge. I stepped out into the fading light of the day, the weight of their disbelief heavy on my shoulders. I had returned, not as a disgrace, but as a warning, a living testament to the horrors that lay beneath the surface. And as the shadows lengthened around me, I realized that the true cost of ignorance was far more terrifying than I could have ever imagined.